I want to do part 1 of the Ray-made Davinci inserts video. I'm not sure whether I'm going to put them together or separate them out as two. But what I wanted to show was in my blog post today, and I'll link that below, I talked about how many inserts I was able to get in my Portland, which has 23 millimeter rings, and it is full now, but it's, you know, not crammed full. Even with all of the extra stuff I have in here, it's just edging to the top of the rings, and that is pretty amazing because I have a full credit card holder. I have a fly leaf that's got sticky notes on it. I have 30 pages that are the undated week on 2 pages. I have 100, and obviously I'm going to do a part 2 because a lot of this is going to come out. Well, I have 100 of the lined pages. I have 100 of the blank pages. I have 6 cash envelopes with money in them, surrounded by 2 fly leaves. You know what I mean. I have a full top opening pocket, an empty top opening pocket, a zip envelope with a euro and, oh no, this is the blank one, this is the one with the euro and some random stuff and some change in it. And I have one of the Day Runner pockets with a pen loop on it. And I have a pen loop because these are really skinny little pen loops, and nothing I really want to fit will fit into here. I've talked about, and I did, and it's somewhere back here, an ink test with some inks, and it did really well. I filled out the weekly insert, and it's very clean. I mean, there's nothing on it besides the date I wrote in and the day of the week, and I guess this is a part number. Now there is longer drying time with this, so I must have closed the book sooner than I should have. The paper is made so that the ink doesn't get absorbed, which makes it, you know, pretty much non-feathering. I mean, I tested a Sharpie, I tested some other inks, and you know, I didn't have. I tested some pens that went through Filofax paper, and they didn't go through this paper in the bleeding kind of way. But because of that, the dry time is a little longer. Now these are gel pens. You know, these are the pens I use every day. They're the Pilot Juice gray pen, and you know, they're great. There's just a little bit more drying time involved than there is on the regular paper. Now this is a picture I did this morning. I had a family birthday lunch on Monday, and I made a little birthday cake person. And so on this drawing there's pencil, watercolor pencil, highlighter, and the gray gel pen as an outliner. And as you can see here, you can definitely see the outline. It's a little harder to see any of the color. You can see shadowing on the back of these pages, but this is okay with me. I mean, this kind of thing was okay with me on Filofax paper. I will say that for whatever reason, whenever I do videos, the show-through is more obvious than it is in person, but you can see that there's printing on the other side. Now, this didn't come through at all, which just amazes me. You know, this is the little artwork I did. So that's pretty amazing to me. I moved my price book into here, and it's much easier working on a longer sheet than it is the short sheets. The really nice thing about this, something specific I mentioned in the blog post, is that you can pick a line spacing, so you can get 6.5 or you can get 5mm lines, which is, I got the 6, and which is really perfect because it's more like writing on a standard size piece of paper instead of a sized down insert with teeny tiny little lines that very few people can write on. I did some ink tests. This is a friction gray. This is the turquoise green juice, the Coletto brown, a Staedtler pigment liner, the Mica High Tech, another Micron pigment liner, a Sharpie. I did that just for fun. And this is a Pilot Spotlighter that went through. I had a lot of trouble with Filofax paper with this. And of course the Sharpie went through, but it doesn't look like bleed through mostly. It looks mostly like shadow. There are a few little spaces here that are bleed through, but Sharpie markers are different than the Sharpie pens, and they're a whole different kind of ink. They're a solvent-based dye, which is an entirely different thing than, you know, say the Microns, which fared really well. Now, because the paper is so thin, you know, what you can get is, you know, pressure marks from the pen. And that isn't something that bothers me. But if you write hard, and if you write hard, or, you know, and in a sharp kind of tip, you could even end up with the impressions on the other side. So that is something to consider. This paper is great, though. The color is in ivory. It's beautiful. The lined paper is in gray, which makes me happy because there's less contrast. The inserts, the fonts are beautiful. They're nice and clean. Also gray, although in, you know, bolder text it looks like black, but it's really, you know, a gray. And I think this is a green line at the top. So I really find these relaxing to look at. I really enjoy the way they feel. I love Clairefontaine paper. It's got a glossier surface, and I believe it also has an extended drying time to some degree. Whereas Rhodia had a powdery frosted finish that I don't like at all. But these are a good combination of the way those two papers feel and perform. And I mean, there's like 230 pages in here, plus all the inserts I mentioned. In the blog post, I added the frequently asked question page of Filofaxy, and they give you the approximate number of pages per ring size for Filofax paper. And you know, I mean, I think with paper this thin, you are approaching with 23mm rings what a 30mm ring binder and Filofax paper could hold, just a sheer number of pages. you know, I don't know that this paper is going to be right for everybody, for everything. If you do a lot of decorating and you use stamps, a lot of the stamps I think are alcohol based also. So, you know, you may have the same thing happen with the stamps, the stamp ink that happens with the Sharpie. So you may not want to go to a week on 2 pages that's undated and paper like this. Although it's really cost effective because, you know, if you change binders a lot, you know, who doesn't have a half a year's left of inserts or more every year? So with this, you just, if you stop and move to another binder, you just pick up where you picked up again. So these are really cost effective. But like I said, I mean, if you're doing a lot of decorating and stamping and different things, you know, maybe that won't work. I'm really not sure. I don't have the ink to check it out. You know, but the lined paper is, you know, is excellent. And I mean, this certainly could be for any kind of list or anything. And the same thing with the blank paper. I believe they have contacts. I'm almost positive I saw it in the pocket size. I'm pretty sure if they have it in the pocket, they have it in this size. These are personal size pages. They're the same as Filofax pages. But you know, if you have a lot of contacts or you're running out of room somewhere else and you want to cut back somewhere, I mean, maybe you don't have to remove some pages. Maybe what you need to do is rewrite your contacts on this paper, and it would take up less room, and replace some of your note paper with lined paper or plain paper. And you know, so you're not you know, you're using as thin a paper as possible, and you're finding the best paper for the use that you're using it. So what I'm going to do now is end this video, and I'm going to set it up, because this isn't really set up. I mean, this is just, you know, I'm just shoving paper in there so you could see. You know, I certainly don't need all of this. And I intended for this to be my price book, so what I need is a lot of the blank pages. I'm undecided about whether I actually want to try this out as the binder. I will get back to you on that in either the next video or the one that I do right after this one. So I hope everybody is warm and dry, because it's certainly not warm and dry here. So thanks, guys, and like I said, I'll get back to you either later or tomorrow with what this actually looks like when I just have what I need in there. I'm not going to be able to do the second part today, but I did want to do I did some more about ink drying times, and I tested it with the Staedtler Triplex Fine Liner, which is a felt tip marker, the Pilot Juice Pen, the Coletto, and the Friction, because those seem to be pens that a lot of people have. And you know, I don't have anything on the side here like I did on those weekly inserts, but what I wanted to do is test it to see if any of them dried immediately. And you can see that right after I wrote fine liner, I ran my finger across it and I got nothing. Now with the Pilot Juice Pen, I got a little bit on the bottoms of the letters. I'm pretty sure that's going to be visible, and on the little where I dotted the I. So I got a little bit of, you know, it wasn't quite dry immediately after I finished writing the word juice. This is the Coletto, and that dried as well as the fine liner. And this is a friction. I don't really use friction, but I know a lot of people do. And right after I finished writing friction, I ran my finger across it. And that was clearly the slowest drying on this paper. Now, how much that's going to matter depends on a lot of things. Probably more if you're left-handed, and also if you need to just write something on the page and close it with those two pens, that would be an issue. I had a similar type of issue on the translucent sticky notes. The juice pen never dried on that, and the Coletto dried immediately. And so this is sort of similar, although not really. I mean, the juice pen does dry on this, and it never really dried on the translucent sticky notes, but you can see that the Coletto pens, really dry fast under all circumstances. And so does that fine liner. I don't know if that's true about all felt tip markers, but it certainly could be. So I wanted to just pass that on before I ended the video, and there will be another one that shows what I've done with it and how I'm going to use it as a price book, and it's going to have a lot less in it when I show you. But I definitely wanted to pass that on, and I will talk to you guys tomorrow.